All right, I have 12 noon on my clock, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. And thank you for joining us here at the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, Power Echo CHW Training. I am Kevin Amato. I'm the Community Impact and Engagement Manager here at SCDAA. And I thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy day to join us today. It is my esteemed honor to have a guest presenter present on the topic of sickle cell disease and nutrition. And joining us today as your guest presenter is Dr. Carolyn Rowley, Executive Director of the Cayenne Wellness Center. She has taken time out of her busy schedule to talk about this. It is very passionate about this particular topic. So without further ado, I will turn things over to Dr. Rowley.
Greetings, everyone, and good morning and afternoon. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. And so this is something that, of course, that Kevin said I'm very passionate about. So I look forward to our conversation. So again, I just want to start off with just making sure, for me, it's 9 o'clock here. Some of you have already began your day and you're taking time out to join us. But if we can just kind of get centered and just focus, because I really want you guys involved. I believe that there are 3 areas that we always need to be conscious of and always have our clients be conscious of as well. One of them is breathing. We take it for granted. God wakes us up, and so we just keep on moving. But to be quite honest with you, it would be great for us to be more conscious of our breath, being able to take deep breaths before we pretty much do anything, just being more conscious. I tend to do that often, even when I'm actually doing clinical work. My patients will literally see me just taking a deep breath just before we actually begin. And I'm doing that for myself, but also to pattern that. The other one is that we're going to talk about water and food. Of course, we need those things to be able to survive. So we're going to have a deep dive into that. Then the other thing is exercise, movement. I wrote a book on just this topic regarding sickle cell disease and nutrition and movement. And no matter what the limitations are, even if they've had double hip replacement, double shoulder replacement, we literally have to move our body. Otherwise, that area tends to atrophy. So why don't we actually get started? I'm going to say something, I'm going to get back to it. But I'm going to say this is what I always share when I do my nutrition talks. And then you're probably going to say, what does that mean? Eat your water and drink your food. So we're going to talk about that toward the end. I'm going to see if many of you actually have picked up what that means. Eat your water and drink your food. Kevin, if you want to start the PowerPoint, that would be wonderful. All righty, so as he said, I'm Dr. Carolyn Rowley, Executive Director at Cayenne Wellness Center, Sickle Cell Disease Education, Support, and Advocacy. And we've been actually in this space for over 21 years here in California. And we take care of folks with sickle cell disease across the state. So we, like you all, some of you all, we have community health workers throughout the different regions of California. And as you know, California is a pretty long state. So from north to south, we have our trusted community health workers. The topic today is on nutrition, 344 and beyond. And you're probably saying, what's 344? Before the end of the day, you're going to be singing the 344. You're going to be singing this, the theme song. Next slide. So again, we're going to talk about 344. What is it? And some of you may have heard this talk in a different venue. So we're going to, like I said, take a deeper dive. The deficiencies, and all that means is that a person with sickle cell disease, unfortunately, by the mere nature of the cells not having enough oxygen, we already, and I should say I'm also an adult person with sickle cell disease, we already have deficiencies. And so that's why it's important, even from a young age, when I actually counsel parents, that they know what nutrient dense diet means. And so there's diets where it's just full of fluff, the junk food, high calories, but not a lot of nutrients. Then there's nutrient dense. That's what we're really going after. And then we'll talk about cravings and what they mean. And to be honest with you, cravings aren't so bad. That actually is an indication that you're needing something. It's how we actually deal with those cravings. Next slide. All right, 344. Seriously, you're going to remember this, and I hope that you adopt this for yourself, as well as be able to share this with your clients. To be honest with you, we also, if you just email me, and we'll put that in the chat, info@kianwellness.org, I can send you our front and back 2-pager of 344 that you can actually forward to your clients. But 344 basically stands for breakfast, lunch, dinner. So I'm going to talk about how did I come up with this, and even why? Why did this actually even occur? Well, I actually been eating plant-based since the 3rd grade, if you can believe it, on my own. What was interesting is my mom shared with me, I never liked to, I never liked meat. I never liked to chew that long and that hard. I remember that from a young age, that I never liked to chew or that long and hard if you're eating meat. So at an early age, I became vegan. And then I'm actually very plant-based, and I have been for some time. And so it works for me. I've done very well. But it wasn't until I began my family and I had my daughter that I knew, okay, this works for me, but now I'm actually having a little baby. So I really wanted to be very conscious of what I was doing to make sure that she didn't have deficiency. My daughter does not have sickle cell. She does have the trait. And so I said, I got to put this in writing, what I do, which came natural. And that's what I did, actually. It was because of her. And at the time, I was actually doing breast cancer and prostate cancer research. And I was working a lot with African American women with breast cancer, and nutrition came up as well. So those two things at that time came up that made me put this in writing. It took 2 years of research to put this together. And so voila, I did and wrote a book. And how I know that it works is because my daughter's pediatrician, the famous Paul Fleiss, Dr. Paul Fleiss, you may know his daughter, Heidi Fleiss, if you guys are old enough. But Dr. Paul Fleiss was my daughter's pediatrician. And he said that he had never seen a child on a vegan diet, because that's kind of scary, that looked so healthy. He was the one that encouraged me to put this in writing and to write this book. So 344 was born. Let's get into it. Next slide. So for lack of a better, glitzy term, I still call it 344. It stands for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Seriously, you'll remember it. Now for breakfast, literally, you just need to eat fresh fruit, dried fruit, and grain. Fresh fruit, dried fruit, and grain. I've given you some examples. So for fresh fruit, we all know what that is. And at one point, I'm going to make sure that you guys remember this after I do my presentation. You guys will all remember this collectively. So for fresh fruit, banana, orange, melon, strawberries, anything fresh. Nectarine, right now we are in summer, so most of the stone fruits are out. Nectarine, apricots, peaches. A dried fruit. And so examples of that are going to be raisins, prunes, dates, and then a grain, real oatmeal. And I put that real because oatmeal that only takes you 30 seconds, sorry you guys, that's not real. I mean the oatmeal that takes you about 20 minutes for you to pour in and stir and for it to cook up. There's also quinoa, very healthy, a healthy grain, and millet. So that's going to be your breakfast, okay? Some fresh fruit, a dried fruit, and a healthy grain. All right. And I know that there's some people that say, I don't really have an appetite so early. And all I can say is even just do a slither, half of a fresh fruit, a handful of dried fruit, a little bit of a grain. It's really important to be able to do that, particularly for your clients, particularly for people with sickle cell disease. This is important. All right. So before we move on, not move on yet, I want to just have someone feel free to unmute yourself and let me know, did anyone do anything like this morning? And if
I'll,
so, what did you have?
I'm Erin Fulbright from Sickle Cell Association in South Louisiana, but I
Hi.
wrote in the chat, I
Okay.
had oatmeal and a
Okay.
banana, but it was the instant oatmeal. I'm trying to get rid of those packets, but I knew I shouldn't have, so I will not do that again.
Okay, so you had the oatmeal, although the packet, so you'll do better. You had the banana, you said, right? Did you have a dried fruit?
No, I didn't. And I do have some
Okay.
in my cabinet, but I did not.
So, I want to ask you to actually to add that. The dry food is really important in terms of this overall nutrition that we need to get daily. Thank you for sharing, Erin. All right, next slide. Okay, so remember, this is called 3-4-4. So we have our fresh apples and our oatmeal, real oatmeal. Now, one thing I didn't mention that you see here are nuts. One of the things that's really healthy is to add the nuts. So I put Brazil nuts, 2 Brazil nuts in my oatmeal or my quinoa every day. 2 Brazil nuts literally is all the all that you actually need. So next slide, sorry. I'm losing where I am. There we go. Then we have our dried fruit. Next slide. All right, let's talk about lunch. So 3-4-4. So we're on the first 4, lunch. And that actually is a fresh fruit again, a green vegetable, an orange vegetable, a protein, a healthy protein, and a healthy grain. Okay, so some examples again. Everyone knows for your fresh fruit, it could be anything from, again, strawberries, papaya, kiwi, mango, apples. That would be fresh fruit. Now your green veggies, spinach, kale, my favorite is Swiss chard, broccoli, and the list goes on. Orange vegetable. Now people sometimes get this mixed up with like an orange. Remember, orange is a fruit. So we want orange vegetables. Now, one thing that I have noted is that on average, most people, including people with sickle cell disease, most people do not get enough orange in their diet. So that means that some of the examples are carrots, yams, butternut squash, acorn squash. That's what I mean by the orange vegetable. It's really, really important to be able to do that. And there's different ways that you can get that in. I actually make carrot soup, but you can have raw shredded carrots in your salad. I bake my yams, baked sweet potatoes. I love butternut squash. That's my actual favorite. So those are different examples of orange vegetable. Then now is protein and grain. Now, like I mentioned, I'm plant-based. So for me, mines are gonna always be some form of bean. So and I love beans. My favorite is black eyed pea, but whether it's black bean, red bean, black eyed peas, lima beans, or what have you, that's what I would normally do. And then I would actually accompany that with the fresh grain, whether it be brown rice or millet or quinoa. If you were not plant-based, which is fine, lean chicken. So you can have chicken and quinoa, you can have salmon. That's actually a very good fish for you all to have, is salmon. So there's a variety. If you are a person that likes beef, I recommend eating beef just once a month. The reason being is that it takes a long time to literally digest and to work itself through your body. And so by stacking that up, all you're doing is it's just your body is constantly in a state of trying to churn and get that through. But if you eat lean or plant-based, then you'll find that that movement doesn't take as long in terms of trying to churn and get these things through your body. So let's stop here and find out for lunch if people have had lunch or what they're intending to have for lunch. Does it actually kind of line up a little bit with 344? Anyone want to take a stab at it? What you're planning on or what you may have had already, since some of you is after 12? So you can unmute yourself, but I can give you an example. So an example would be, maybe you guys can have a spinach salad, that's your green, with some shredded carrots, that's your orange. You can have some baked chicken, that'll be your protein. And on the side, you can have like some brown rice pasta. And then for your dessert, you can have a cup of fresh fruit like grapes or mango or papaya. So that would be just one example. So anyone have anything that they want to mention that they are eating or they're going to eat later today?
Dr. Rowley,
Yeah.
this is Anna. I made last night, this is kind of a thing that you have to make ahead, a whole wheat wrap with chicken,
Mhm.
spinach, tomatoes,
Okay.
onions.
Uh-huh.
I wrapped that up firmly and put it in my little container, and I had some cabbage slaw. And
Okay.
now I have a peach to eat
have your peach.
mid-afternoon.
Okay. So I heard you say for your grains, it would be that the wheat wrap, and then you have the chicken, you have the spinach, so that you have the green and the orange and your fresh fruit. Great. Thank you. And that's healthy. Can we move on to our,
Excuse me, Dr. Ali. Tracy Connick raised her hand. I think she wanted to contribute.
okay, now you know what? I guess I'm on full screen, so I can't see the
Right.
chat. Let me get off the full screen. That way I can see chat.
It's actually Melanie. I'm under my supervisor's link. So I just got into trying to eat kale and I actually like it. Yesterday I
Yay.
tried a salad that had kale, black beans, peas, corn, strawberries, and beets in it. And it was actually good.
It's so funny to say actually, of course.
Yeah. So I've always been afraid to like eat beets because of the earthy taste. But when I mixed it in with my salad, it didn't bother me.
I love it, dear. I'm so glad that you have that pleasant experience. So you would do a deeper dive, and kale is great. I love kale. My favorite actually is Swiss chard. So if you haven't tried that, you might want to try that too. But thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Anyone else?
Excuse me, Dr. Rowley, there's a comment in the chat from Diana Rash. She noted that she recently had a friend that started a vegan diet. She stated that fruits without seeds or pits are considered processed and are actually not good for you. And when she was asked, could you speak a little bit more about that?
So I'm trying to figure out which fruit doesn't have that, because most fruits do. Like strawberries, the seeds are on the outside. Apples.
I mean, one example I can think of is
banana.
like, yeah, seedless watermelons.
Oh yeah, I
Or
don't know.
seedless grapes.
Well, I do everything organic. I'm not into the GMO concocted things. That's a new question for me, I have to admit. And I think I need to do some research on it. I haven't heard much about it, but it actually kind of makes sense. So Diana, I'm really happy that you brought that up. And so that means that I'm going to do some research and add that to my topics in the future. Yeah, thank you. I don't really have an answer because like for bananas, I know that they have potassium, but the fact that they are not good for you, I need to do further research. But I really am happy that you brought it up. So I'm writing this down for myself to look up fruits without seed.
And
Thank
once
you.
you're done that, Dr. Rowley, Helen Howard has raised her hand.
Oh,
Would like
okay,
to
go ahead.
contribute a comment. Ms.
I would
Howard.
love it, please. You're muted, by the way.
Ms. Howard, you're muted. Or you're not
I'll
muted,
mute
but we can't
yourself.
hear you. Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
It's okay,
You're,
we can hold off. Oh, there you are. Miss Howard, you are not muted. You can speak now. We should probably hear you.
yeah, she's talking, but we can't hear.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Miss Howard. We can't hear you.
If you maybe try putting it in the chat, your question or comment, Miss Howard. All right.
Okay, thank you. All right. So Diana, thank you for that. We're going to move on to dinner. And dinner is, lovely. Doesn't that look great, you guys? I love color. So mango and tangerines. I just had some, went to the farmer's market Saturday, had some nice organically squeezed tangerine juice, bought 4. It's great. Next slide. There's my favorite, Swiss chard, some baked yams. Next slide. All right. Again, I'm a bean person since I am plant-based. So I've had probably all of these beans at some point. And then there's the salmon. Next slide. All right. Now dinner. Dinner is similar to lunch in terms of the 4 items. So again, fresh fruit, the green veggie, the orange veggie, protein, a healthy protein, and a healthy grain. So again, some examples are going to be watermelon, which is my favorite, with the seeds, berries, grapes, some green vegetable examples, again, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, orange vegetables, carrot soup, yams, butternut squash, and some protein and grain examples. So I would say, for instance, I actually, for myself, I'm going to eat tonight. I'm going to have my salad, and I have some carrot soup, and we're going to also have ratatouille. Not sure if you guys know what ratatouille is, but that's like a French stew, and where it has lots of veggies like Italian squash, the yellow squash, the green bell pepper, the eggplant. So I'm going to have all of that. Those are going to be my veggies. And then I have my brown rice pasta with arugula that I put together and tomato. Now for my protein, I actually make my own homemade hummus. Oh, I love it. And it's not that difficult to do. And so that's my form of protein. And I usually put that over my salad that I'm going to have. And then for fresh fruit, we always have quite a bit. So I think we have watermelon with the seeds at home. Anyone else? Can they share with me what you guys had for dinner that is fashioned after 3-4-4, or what you plan on having?
What are your views on the baked potato if you have like the grilled chicken in it? Because a lot of times I'll get a baked potato with grilled chicken and no sour cream and the onions.
Well, you know, Kathy, I have to say this, that anything white is not good. So the baked potato is
White.
and the rice and the sugar and the salt. So if you do potatoes, it's
Mhm.
better if they're the red skin potatoes versus the russet potatoes, to be honest with you. Why? Because it's so full of sugar. And so they have a thing called just simple carbohydrates, which is basically it turns into sugar. But if you, again, it's better to do things that are not white at all. So we haven't talked about that yet. That's coming up next. But, you know, if you guys are doing breads, not good to do the white or even the yeast, but to do the more healthy grains. Now, personally for myself, I don't do, it's all plant-based. I only eat what I can pick and pluck. I don't do breads of any kind. I don't do wheat. But if you are going to do potatoes, then it's better if it was the red skin potatoes and keep the skin on versus the russet potatoes. I know they taste good, but it'd be better if you can substitute that with the red potatoes. So someone mentioned here, Sarai, they had fish, wonderful, string beans, grain, cauliflower, and baked potato. And so I'm just going to say it'd be great if you can substitute the russet for the red skin. All right. So this is something I'm sharing this with you all because for a reason. Now let's get into how this all came about by looking at the deficiencies. That's going to be the next slide. Now, as I mentioned, by the mere fact that persons with sickle cell disease are born with sickle cell disease, we have deficiencies. And so it is great if you can share this with your parents of those who are raising their children, as well as your adults. So one of the deficiencies is folic acid. Folic acid is really important, as you guys know. This is something that even the doctors may prescribe to your clients. And it's important for the development of red blood cells. So I'm going to share with you, this is how you don't even have to remember what the deficiencies are, because if you just eat 344, it's actually tackling those deficiencies. So folic acid, in terms of food, green leafy, broccoli, beets, and beans. Hey, that's 344, right? The green leafy is the green part of the 344, and the broccoli. The beans are part of the protein, right? So just by eating 344, you're already tackling folic acid. Let's look at vitamin E. So we're deficient in vitamin E, and vitamin E is important as an antioxidant. However, if you eat chard or mustard greens or spinach or kale, as well as almonds, because I do believe in having nuts in your diet, you just now took care of the vitamin E. Do you see how you did that? Because that's the green part of the 344. So without you even thinking about it, again, they don't have to think about all these deficiencies. 344 is already tackling the deficiencies. Let's look at vitamin D. Now, vitamin D, a little bit harder for persons like myself who are plant-based or those who are vegan, but you can still get it. Now, vitamin D helps maintain proper calcium levels in the blood. So for myself, I'm a sun baby. So I do make sure that I actually get sun. And the more melanin in your skin that you do have to stay out in the sun a little bit longer. So average is about maybe 45 minutes. The less melanin that you have in your skin, the less sun that you actually need to stay out. So for those who have very little melanin, about 15 minutes tops, but the more melanin you have, about 30, 45 minutes. That's for persons like myself who are vegan or plant-based. Now, if you do eat meat, salmon, that's a good way to also get your vitamin D. Next slide, please.
Real quick, Dr. Ali, before we go to the next slide, there was a question in the chat. I'm not sure. This is from Melanie, right there.
Yeah.
She said cashews are her go-to nuts. Is that a good nut to consume?
Yes. So how I actually learned it is that when the nuts look like a certain part of the body. And so cashews look a little bit like kidney. So it is a good nut. And I actually eat cashews. I also eat walnuts, which is similar to, looks like the convolutions of the brain. And so I also eat those. So like I said, I believe in having nuts in your diet. They are nutrient dense. I get the raw, not the ones with the salt and whatever else they're adding to it. So the raw is best. And so nuts are good. I do believe in, and like I said, I put Brazil nuts too every morning with my grain. So yes, nuts are good. Cashews are good. Next slide. All right, vitamin A. We're also deficient in vitamin A. And so what use is vitamin A? It helps actually improve our eyesight and fight off viral infections. So where do you get vitamin A from in terms of food? Again, from the orange vegetable for 344. So again, that's the reason why I was saying to you, on average, persons do not eat enough orange vegetable. I think I did a survey and it was like once a week, but we're talking every day, twice a day. So carrots, yams, sweet potatoes. Also, you can get vitamin A from green leafy vegetables. So again, you're getting it from 344, from the green and from the orange part. Vitamin C, we're deficient in vitamin C, and vitamin C is necessary for growth and development, and it repairs our body tissues. Where do you get vitamin C in terms of food? From strawberries, green leafy. So again, from the fruit, from the green veggies, and orange, this is the orange fruit, lemon and kiwi. So that's why it's important to have your fruit. And if you notice for 344, you're eating fruit 3 times a day. Okay. Magnesium. Now, actually, magnesium and phosphorus are the main 2 minerals that we are deficient in. Magnesium helps keep our blood circulating smoothly. Where can you get food source for magnesium? All green leafy. So that's why it's important. So again, that's part of the 344, right? Swiss chard, spinach, broccoli, kale, what have you, green leafy vegetables, mustard green, collard greens, etc. Next slide. Now, I mentioned to you that second, as far as the deficiencies is phosphorus. And phosphorus is really important. And this kind of stands to reason, right, with sickle cell disease. Phosphorus is important for the formation of bones and our teeth. Now, food source for phosphorus, almonds, again, nuts. And for those of you who are not plant-based or vegan, eggs, chicken, and salmon. And so if you can get the ones that are free range, that would be best. Zinc, that's another area that we're deficient in. And the zinc is really important to fighting off bacteria and viruses. So it helps your immune system overall. The food sources for zinc, spinach, again, the green leafy part of 344, right? Spinach, asparagus, Swiss chard, broccoli. This is all good for helping with defeating the deficiencies for zinc. Protein, really important. So our body uses protein to build and repair our tissues and to have them heal. The food sources for protein, now surprisingly, everyone thinks that it's always just meat, and it isn't. So again, for myself being vegan or plant-based, you can get it from cauliflower, protein, collard greens, beans, chicken. One thing I actually didn't mention here is also quinoa. So you can get it from a healthy grain like quinoa. You can get it from your veggies like cauliflower, your green leafy, and also beans. That's where I get mine from. But if you're not plant-based, you can get it from chicken and salmon. Next slide. All right. So I know you're like, there's a lot of deficiencies here. That's right, there are. And that's why this is so important, because I think without even realizing it, what plays into the fatigue and everything else, if you don't have a good diet, I really think that we do a little bit more harm than good. So we're going to get through the deficiencies and then talk a little bit more. So fiber is really important. Now, it's important for several reasons. One, if you have a client and or yourself that you're taking medication, particularly opioids, one of the side effects is that it's going to constipate you. If your client goes into the hospital, but that entire time that they're in the hospital, they may be on opioids. And so when they come out, they're going to be constipated. Fiber is so, so important. You know, I started off this morning by saying, or this afternoon by saying, breathing, water, food, and exercise is important. I'm going to add one more. Oh my goodness, you got to have fiber and you have to have good bowel regularity. That's because you don't feel well if you don't. So fiber helps support your bowel regularity. Where can you get the fiber? All green leafy vegetables. So that's part of your 3-4-4. Eggplant, strawberries. So I'm going to add something. One of the things that I recommend for people with sickle cell disease is to drink beet juice, particularly if they've just gotten out of the hospital. All those toxins in the body, they need to be removed. So if you drink your beet juice, it literally binds to the toxins, and it helps get natural movement so you can have bowel regularity. In one of our support groups just on Tuesday, one of the members talked about, and I just felt horrible, had said that it was so bad that he wound up having to have surgery. That's bad, to have surgery to get things moving because he was that backed up. We don't ever want to have to get to that level. You never want to get to that level. So again, gotta have water, gotta have movement, gotta have good fiber. So particularly for clients who take oral opioids or they may be in a hospital, the beet juice, boom, it will do its work and get things moving again. We're also deficient in calcium. Calcium is really helpful because it builds bones, keeps us healthy, and it helps our muscles to contract and our heart to beat. Where can you get food sources for calcium? Green leafy, again, part of that 3-4-4, everybody. Broccoli and from oranges. Okay, the actual orange. When you guys are doing, I have to admit, the fresh squeeze is good, but when you're eating the orange, you're eating part of that white part, and that white part is actually pretty good. And then B12. B12 is important because that supports the production of our red blood cells, right? And it actually helps us to metabolize the protein. Now, for myself, being plant-based and or vegan, for those of you who are vegan, it can be a little tricky to get your B12. You can get it from sea vegetables. Otherwise, if you're not vegan, you can get it from salmon, cow's liver. So for myself, I do have to admit, this is the only supplement, and I have a vegan B12 spray. And so for me, I do get my sea vegetables, but I can't eat enough sea vegetables. And so I have a vegan B12 spray, and I know that it works because my hemoglobin, I know it's very, very low. My hemoglobin on average is 6. And so that's pretty low. But by actually doing the B12 spray, vegan, I've gotten my hemoglobin to get up to 7. Woo. So I know that that's not high for a lot of people, but for me, it is a world of difference. So I don't believe people should just randomly supplement. Supplement if, you went to the doctor, you had a CDC, and they actually said you are deficient in what have you, then I believe in supplementing. And my B12 was low, so that's what I did. We're going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions. I actually do
Yes.
see a
There are
question
two.
in the chat.
Yes, there are 2 questions in the chat, one from Melanie and the other one from Anna Johnson.
Okay. So in terms of cauliflower, cauliflower is a good source, but I wouldn't just rely upon it, and I don't. Again, with being plant-based, I get my protein from a variety, whether it be cauliflower and or the beans and or quinoa. So again, that's one of the reasons for, again, if you're following 3-4-4, you're getting your protein from a variety of sources. And I don't want everyone to think that, oh, this is, having a diet like this is boring. Oh my goodness, it isn't. I've done so many different and creative things in terms of food. I guess I'm a foodie in my own, but I make all my food. I don't actually go out to eat. So I actually create everything. So not by itself in terms of cauliflower, but cauliflower is a source of protein. But I wouldn't just always just use cauliflower, which I don't. The other question says beet juice. For the most part, if you can make your own beet juice, and it's really easy to, about 6 beets, apples, about 3, some ginger, lemon, you can make your own. But there are some good sources out there. Sometimes I get the organic, because if I don't have a lot of energy and I'm fatigued, then I'll just have my husband go and get the organic beet juice. We look at the date. And so sometimes I'll do that, and that's okay too. But it's just healthier and it costs less to make it yourself. But I have to admit, I don't always do that because I don't always have that energy to do it. And my family they don't do juicing. I haven't taught them yet. So that's a good question. Sea vegetables. So things like kombu. I don't know if you know what kombu is. It's a seaweed. So sea vegetables do come from the sea. So one of them is called kombu. I'll type that in, KOMBU. And I use kombu when I make my own beans, and I soak them and I cook them. I actually cook them with kombu. It actually adds, because when you put salt, it can actually make beans hard. So the kombu already has natural sea salt, but it also softens it, and it lessens the gassy feature. That would be one. That's one type of sea vegetable. Kelp is another. Thanks, Derek. Mhm. How do I feel about juicing daily? I don't, so I don't believe in juicing to replace a meal. But I think it depends on maybe if the person is fatigued. But I don't believe, as long as you're healthy and you're not fatigued, there's a reason. And I said earlier, I'm going to get back to eat your water and drink your food. But drinking your food does not mean juicing. So I want to get back to that statement that I made earlier. Eat your water and drink your food. So eating juicing to replace a meal, I don't recommend, because there's a reason for being able to chew your food. And I'm going to talk about that in about a couple of minutes. I found that some of the vegan substitutes are full of sodium. I am teetering on becoming a vegan or pescatarian. Do you have any suggestions on some healthy brands? So my dear, the problem is I make everything, and I'm sorry, I don't really know a brand. I don't always do my beans, but the healthy brand for beans is Eden, EDEN. It does not have any salt, and it's organic beans and just water. But in terms of buying food that's already prepared, I don't actually do that. I actually make my own food. But I'll put my my email in the chat, and you all can actually contact me offline. But I don't really have any other brands outside of like the beans, but I make my own everything. So we can talk more about recipes. Another chat item says, is it a good idea to intentionally want to increase weight? My daughter has sickle cell disease, but really slim. What would be your dietary advice? That's a very good question. I believe in a nutrient dense diet. So I don't consider being slim not a good thing because to me, that's genetics. For myself, my dad was skinny and so was my mom. So I think it just kind of, as I was growing up, my sister and I, they would call me chicken legs and bones, and that was just my name. And part of that I think had to do with genetics. So it depends if if your daughter is now an adult, I would actually want to look further now into what type of foods and are the foods that your daughter is eating nutrient dense. 344 is nutrient dense. So if they're eating more of this of the healthy foods, um, and she's fine, and she's healthy besides having her sickle cell disease. Oh, she's 10. So part of that can be, again, making sure she has a nutrient dense diet and she has to probably eat more frequently. So when I've done this talk, some people say, wow, that's a lot of food. I'm not talking about having big old plates, everyone. Even if you just have a handful of the 344, but with younger people with sickle cell disease, they may have to eat a little bit more frequently, and that's okay too. So, yep, I was teased, but it was a good thing because my friends still call me Bones now, and that's okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide, and I do want to talk about what I mean by eat your water and drink your food. Okay, so eat your water and drink your food. This is what it means. Even when we began, for those of you who were here, you probably saw me take a deep breath. And I mentioned to you that breathing, water, food, and exercise are the three ideal characteristics of just being healthy. I want to add that by saying eat your water, that just and drink your food. So before you take a sip of water, everybody does this. They just take their water and they start drinking. But eat your water means this. I'm going to demonstrate. You take your sip of water. And you're switching around your mouth. And you're getting it all into your mouth. And you're just swishing it around. That means that you're helping to prepare your body and just your salivary glands to be able to receive that. And everyone, that takes some time, but it does because eating should take some time. And so before I drink, I tend to swish it around and get everything ready, and then I swallow. Drinking your food does not mean that you're blending it. It means that you're chewing enough times that your food is liquefied. That's what that means. And so I no longer count, but I would say that I'm chewing about 25, 30 times. Some people say, well, gosh, that's so much. It is, but if you're in the practice of doing that, you won't even notice it. And I don't even notice it. But on average, people tend to chew what, 4 times and then they swallow? But if you're chewing and taking your time and getting it to be liquefied, then being able to swallow, that actually is the best. So that's what I mean by eat your water and drink your food. So I wanted to share that with you. Let me look at, can you believe it? I can't believe that we're only 10 minutes left. Let's see, I want to answer your questions. What I'll do is I'll go through food cravings quickly because I think all of us have that. But I want to leave some time for you guys to just unmute yourself and ask me questions and let's talk. So let me look through this real quick and then we'll do food cravings and I hope to give you guys about 5-6 minutes. A lot of store brands are now selling veggies with no added salt. My wife has gotten me to check the label for sodium and I'm often surprised at the level of sodium in products. Yes. And so again, as I mentioned, I tend to prepare everything. I'm not really into knowing what brands are healthy because I don't really buy that, except every once in a while I may buy the beans because I don't always have time to soak. And the one bean company is Eden Soy, and there's a new one called Jovial that I discovered. Ooh, sorry. Jovial, I buy the Jovial garbanzo beans because, as I mentioned earlier, I make my own hummus. And so there's nothing in it except for water. And I make my own hummus and it goes a long way. And now I'm making my own tortillas as well. Okay, we're going to do food cravings real quick, and then I want to open it up to have you guys ask me questions. Food cravings exist, we already know it, but to me, that just means that you're probably thirsty. I'm sorry, yeah, you're dehydrated, so you're thirsty. So go to the next slide. We're going to go these next slides quickly. So how to reduce food cravings? One of the ways, if you're feeling that, oh, I just need to munch on something, is you might be stressed. So we be aware of, if you're stressed out, reduce your stress. Staying hydrated is really important. I don't think people drink as much as they think, particularly with sickle cell. We know that they have to drink, but there's another reason for that. Water gives you oxygen. And I find that when I'm a little tired, I just think I need to not dehydrate it, but I hydrate with water, even if I feel a little tired because I have long days. Get enough sleep. And I don't want to say how much that is because I think it varies from person to person. Eat enough protein, healthy protein. Change the scenery. There are times that I'm in my office for long periods. I actually just need to go outside, take a deep breath, and I actually just take a walk around the corner, and then this makes me feel better, and I can concentrate and keep on going. And avoid hunger. A lot of times I think people have too much hours in between before they actually eat again. So if you eat you can put together a healthy trail mix, healthy raw nuts and some raisins. That might actually help as well. Next slide. How to replace them. So people who have salt craving means that they're dehydrated, so drinking. People who have cravings for chocolate means that they lack magnesium, eating a salad. Sugar, if you think that you're craving sugar, means that you have low energy levels, so eating a handful of almonds will do the trick. Ice cream means that a person is craving that they need more healthy fat. Again, nuts. Pasta, if they say, oh, I just want some pasta, it means that they actually have a poor mood. And again, one way of getting that poor mood up is to change the scenery and to start walking and breathing. People who are craving meat means that they actually have low iron levels, or if you're eating ice, that they're eating low iron levels. So again, a healthy salad with greens will help. And I forgot about caffeine. Caffeine does dehydrate you. So it's better maybe if you can just drink water. All right, why don't we stop? Because I want to give time for everybody to unmute if they actually want to ask questions or just get more information about something. So the floor is open.
Okay, this is Melanie again.
Hi.
What do you think about protein shakes?
So here's the deal, my dear. I personally am when I say plant-based, I don't do anything else. But if you do a protein shake, I'm concerned about what's who the manufacturer is, what's everything that's involved in that protein shake, and why is the person doing that? If they're not getting healthy protein throughout the day, I'm just trying to figure out why do they need the protein shake? Are they more of a muscle builder? Are they doing a lot of training? Then maybe there's a reason for that. But if it's just an average person, I think that switching over to healthy protein should be enough unless the doctor said you are deficient in protein. So if you remember what I said earlier, I don't believe people should just be supplementing without having a rationale for doing so. So that would be my explanation. I'm not really in favor of it unless they may be a muscle builder or something. But if they're an average person, they should be able to get enough protein, healthy protein in their diet. So if you're eating 3 times a day, you may need to actually break that up into 5 times a day, because some people need to eat a little bit more frequently. That's my response, because I don't really know what's in those shakes.
Thank
Derek
you.
Rob, thank you.
Yeah,
Derek
thank-
Robertson has his hand up.
Thanks, Kevin, and Carolyn, Dr. Rowley, thanks so much. Great presentation. With the protein shakes, especially with sickle cell, check with the doctor, because a lot of times we have kidney issues, right? So you have to make sure that your kidney function is where it needs to be before you just add protein, because if you're not processing that protein properly, that can lead to a bunch of other problems. We had that with our sons, because as you know, there definitely is association between kidney disease and sickle cell. So
Yes,
check, as Carolyn said, with the doctor first.
yes, definitely. Most definitely. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
All right,
I'll say that.
Bianca?
Oh, yes.
Unmute yourself, Bianca.
Bianca,
right.
are you there?
I'm putting my email address in the chat. And as I mentioned as well, I do have a book on this method. And the good news is I have a literary agent now. And so we'll be working on a second edition. Definitely coming out towards the end of the year, if not the beginning, because we had to get through September. But I'm excited that we're going to be working on second edition. People have wanted more recipes. And so the first edition does have recipes, but we'll be adding more recipes, colorful recipes as well. Thank you, Ramadan. I always love doing this. I hope that you guys find it helpful.
Can I just make one quick comment, Carolyn? Again, thank you. I was talking to a cardiologist once. He was giving a presentation on the benefit of beets, because it not only helps sickle cell patients, it helps cardiology patients as well. And one of the comments he said, somebody asked about canned beets. And his comment was, he's not a fan, fresh beets. But what he said was, which I thought was always important, he said, canned beets is better than no beets. So in other words, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, everything fresh, cook like Carolyn cooks. That's the best, the gold standard. But I think we also have to look at realities. And sometimes we're not able to go to the farmer's market or to go to the supermarket because we're in food deserts. But he said he would prefer to have a patient use canned beets than not eat beets at all.
And then I can always say this. People can also rinse off. Someone actually mentioned earlier about the sodium. You can also rinse it off. So get that,
exactly,
and then you can rinse that stuff off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not an excuse sometimes to say I can't get the fresh beets, from my market. Maybe you have to use a can and you wash it off, and don't add sugar to it. Stuff like that. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and I think we just got a response here. Everyone was asking for the name of your book, Dr. Rowley, but looked like Mary just put it. Yes, and because I want to respect her, Bianca's back. She had connection issues.
Okay.
So Bianca, yes.
Now I'm here. Now, Kevin, I don't know if you have a couple extra minutes, but I'm here.
I do.
Okay. So I don't want to cut anyone off. So everyone, that's the name of the book. But remember, I also said I can also email you the PDF. That's the front and back. The book's not on Amazon. It's on Lulu, but it will be, the second edition will be. So I don't want to cut anyone off. And I do have the the PDF that I can share to some front and back, just to kind of get you started so that people don't have to buy the book if they're not, in that space yet. So thanks, Bianca. And thanks, Mary. Appreciate it. Bianca, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I had my hand raised. Thank you very much for taking the extra few minutes.
Yeah.
I've got a 7-year-old boy who was diagnosed with sickle cell since he was a baby. And now he's at that stage where he's playing a lot and he wants to play with others, but I find his energy levels sometimes are not as good. What can I give him extra for energy levels at that age?
So
And
that's a very good question, dear. My first thought is make sure, remember, particularly for the young ones, they have to have a nutrient-dense diet. If you're doing 3-4-4, as I shared with everyone, if you're doing that, what needs to happen is he probably needs to eat a little bit more frequently as well. So that's, I just mentioned 3 times a day, but it's okay to extend that. Some people need to eat 5 times a day to have a healthy snack in between. So almonds, really good for energy. Literally, ballerinas, when they're actually working out, they literally take a handful of almonds and then they're able to continue on. Highly recommend that you give, have him be in the habit of eating healthy raw nuts, and almonds are great for boosting energy.
Unfortunately, he
Oh,
has
he has nut
also got,
sensitivity?
he's got G6PD deficiency as well. So
Okay.
no nuts.
No nuts. So for him, he probably needs to eat then more frequently. So no nuts, we'll be respectful of that, but he probably needs to eat more frequently, not just 3 times a day, but about 5 times a day.
Okay, small meals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
And if at that age you can get him to eat beets and dark green leafy vegetables, then by the time when he turns 19 and 12, so care, if we can get the kids, when you don't know any different, when you're 3-4 and you're eating broccoli, then by the time you reach 20, you're not saying, oh my gosh, it's broccoli. That's just a habit. And so if you're doing that 3-4-4 when he's 7, when he's 25, he'll be set, right? So, but I would also just say, if he does have sickle cell, so you also just have to he's going to learn his body and learn maybe he can't do as much, because that's that's what he has, and he's going to be doing stuff that other kids can't do, so that it's not a deficiency, it's just different. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I know that Ms. Howard, don't know if you finally, no, we still can't hear you. I'm so sorry that didn't work out. Man. So sorry, Ms. Howard, that didn't work out. If you can put it in the chat, if you don't mind. And everyone else, this has been grand. I hope you'll have me back. Love, love, love doing this. But let's see if Helen can put her, what she wanted to say in the chat. So most definitely, I'm going to look up fruits without seed. What does that mean? I remind you guys, eat your water and drink your food. And remember 3-4-4. Okay, did you put it in the chat?
Not yet, but I just want to give a quick reminder to everyone, because I'm sure I probably got a bunch of emails while I've been doing this, and I can't do both, monitor this and check my emails. But this session has been recorded. And next week, because today is Thursday, and technically, I'm telling you, technically I'm still on vacation. But next week, this session will be available to view on sicklecelldisease.net in our repository. So if anyone missed the beginning, or someone who think that would benefit from viewing this presentation, you'll be able to watch this whole recorded session on our repository site, which is once again sicklecelldisease.net. Also, Dr. Rowley was kind enough to make a PDF of her PowerPoint. So everyone here will also get a copy of that PDF to share, to have in an office, to share with their colleagues, to share with whoever. So thank you, Dr. Rowley, for that. And I believe Helen did put her comment now in the chat.
Okay, and so Marcia asked 344, what is it? It's breakfast, lunch, dinner. All right. The comment, I use frozen grapes. I do too. As a dessert and refreshing treat when warm to cool off. I do too. As a matter of fact, when I started that, do you know that I can no longer eat grapes anymore, the regular? So I did that because for my daughter, again, I was trying to be very creative. I make my own everything. So I make a vegan ice cream, but it is nut based. It has cashews, banana, and then just fresh frozen fruit. But I did the grapes because I told her, oh, this is like candy. So this is what when she was little, and I can only eat grapes now that are frozen. Thanks, Helen. So everyone, it's been grand. I've enjoyed my time with you, and I believe we're at time now.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rowley, again, for once again taking time out of your schedule to share. This was a great presentation, very informative. So as I said, everyone's going to get a copy of the PDF to have as part of your resources. And there's no other question or comment. I thank everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And I, once again, as always, I wish you continued success in all that you do, and thank you on what you do for what you do on behalf of those of the SCD community. It is needed, it is appreciated, and I truly thank you. And go forth and have a great day.
Thank you.